All right. Hello, coaches, speakers, friends. Welcome to the Inspire Speakers School podcast. I am live with the Doctor of Self-Worth, Endre Hoffmann, who helps business owners to blast through barriers like self-doubt, self-confidence, lack of self-confidence, exhaustion, working hard that isn't working. And we're going to have a discussion today about how those things are typically the things that hold us back in our business, how you can push past those and really create more accelerated results in your business and in your life. This is the perfect time of year to talk about it at the beginning of the year when everybody's making their goals. So I want to welcome you to the stage, Endre, and welcome to the podcast.
Woohoo! Thanks very much. I'm excited. Hopefully, we'll inspire some people today to take a shortcut, not the long, windy road that I took for 2 decades.
I feel like that is everybody's way, right? That the journey that we take people on took us 10 to 20 years to get there, and that we can help people in like just a few months. So that's really exciting. So tell us, how did you get the name Doctor of Self-Worth, and why are you so passionate about this topic?
Well, if I look back, probably 70% of my life, I was a victim. And I was a victim of my mind and probably conditioning from early childhood. I didn't connect with my dad, and I must have taken on these beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, especially unworthy of my father's love. And these patterns has just, well, grown into every area of my life. And I started looking for answers. I couldn't find it in my family. I had to prove myself. I was always measuring up people, comparing myself. Life wasn't fun. I was afraid of asking girls out. I was afraid of talking in front of people, social anxiety. There's a whole lot of issues. And then I started traveling to look for the question was, what's wrong with me? By the way, it's a pretty bad question. Please don't try and find it, because you will find answers and you will be even worse where you are now. But it took me another 17 years traveling around the world in 70 countries, and moving to 4 countries in this quest to find my lost self-worth. And along the years, I spent over $100,000 on all of the personal development tools that I found, from Anthony Robbins events to John DeMartini's seminars and firewalking and past life regression and affirmation, meditations, all of these things. And I was wasting my time. And it this journey took me to Australia. 6 years ago, there was this massive breakthrough when my wife asked me, where is it time for us to divorce, when I was about to lose my health, my kids, and my wife. And probably commitment was the biggest lost key for me. To After 34 years, I imagine I attracted a mindset coach in 3 or 6 months when everything was about to get like really loose, all that's dear to me. And he helped me to rewrite my whole life story, my self-image, and the Doctor of Self-Worth brand came out of that transformation. And ever since, I've been helping other people who are stuck in some kind of self-sabotage to shortcut their transformations in 3 to 6 months. That's the ideal time, I believe, and that saves a lot of money, saves a lot of time. And since then, I've been traveling around with my family last year for 8 months in Europe, and we decided to start an organic farm, and here we are in Europe now. But most importantly, I became a father I have never had, and my children love me, and homeschooling them. We have a lot of time and together, and then especially most importantly, life is happening to on our terms, and luckily there's no one to report to, and that's I call freedom.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Because what you're describing, I think so many of us have been through, in whether it's specifically we've invested in self-worth, or, whenever you start your business. I know that your story is similar to my story, where I started my business and I'm going hard and I'm working, doing all the things. And it's all this self-worth stuff. it keeps getting in the way. And even though I'm working hours and hours and hours for years, I was making $0, zero, right? Very little, because not because I wasn't showing up, not because I wasn't doing all the things, but because there were some kind of blockages there that I just didn't know how to solve, pouring money into strategies and coaches for my self-help and all of these different things. So I love to hear I loved that you didn't get the answer. No, I just love to hear that parallel story though of, I think this is so many other people's story, just looking for the right answer, the answer that's actually going to work, and that's going to work in a small amount of time instead of spending years and years and years in therapy or something like that. So I'm really interested, before we dive into the how, because I really, really want to know what's different about what you did than what you heard from all of them. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, what do you see, people, you said you help business owners specifically. So what do you see in business owners specifically? How is it affecting their business? You talked about your personal life. What do you see are the top ways that these lack of self-worth, lack of self-confidence really shows up for people?
Like, there are the types who are not even showing up because there's just so much fear of rejection going on, because they think they won't be accepted or their product or service is not good enough. There are the other types who are sabotaging their sales, and without sales there is actually no business, where they can't put the price tag out, or they are not able to close sales. That's a big one. And especially one I met, a lady from Australia about a few years ago. She was telling me, oh, her business is not going well, all of those things. And within about 45 minutes, we established that she didn't even show up. She's been taking care of everyone else. It's been a pattern in her whole life. And it was connected to some trauma in her childhood. So we had to untangle her from that experience to create space for her business to exist and even thrive. So there are a lot of different ways to not be successful in business, but I believe mindset, and I think you were so insightful about saying it's really not hard work. Sometimes, yes, it's great to work a lot when there are pressures or deadlines or projects, but I did a lot of work. Like, I kept showing up in this personal development journey, and taking massive action did not help. It was creating more awareness of the things I didn't know about myself has shifted everything for me. And probably was that your experience as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I always joke around, like, sitting in my money chair, just having this time when I'm like, my husband said to me, you've been working way too hard to have made that much. Right. When we looked at our tax return and how much I actually made that year, he's like, this is ridiculous. And I said, you're right. So I joke around how I sat in my money chair for hours and just did that self-discovery, peeling back all the layers and saying, what is it really that's keeping me from moving forward? And the time that I spend the most time in my money chair is what I call it. That's whenever I receive the most breakthroughs and I'm able to actually get progress in my business. It's not me doing the work over here on the computer.
Yes, I mean, working and creating amazing results, that I believe self-worth is a lot to do with putting a price tag on the value that you bring. And I believe when it comes to slight or big breakthroughs as far as mindset, correcting one mindset, I call that mind virus, literally shifts people's lives into another dimension. Wow. For example, that belief, probably you had that belief that I need to work hard, but that was certainly my pattern. I haven't got enough money, haven't got enough time. And my life was a reflection of that. Now imagine if you are, and I know you can, but when that's shifted, that one starts to believe that, well, I can earn more and more money and work less and less. Like, what a different experience that is.
Absolutely. So take us into your process a little bit. What makes what you do different and what you experience different than all those other courses that you took over the years? And why is it so much faster?
Well, number one, I decided that I will not create a similar drain of time and money for others. So I decided that I will guarantee results. So I'm not trying to help. I'm not selling programs that don't work. So I basically decided to give away a good 1 hour free session to each of those who are interested in rapid shift. And I take the time to look at the roots of those challenges. So usually there is a wake up moment when one sits down with me for an online Zoom session. And then once we worked out the problem, or usually there are 3 or 4 patterns, limiting ideas that holding people back. And then I want to find out what's the point B, where do we want to go, what's the results that we're looking for. And the work is usually meeting them every 2 weeks and see how their beliefs are changed. And that's my work. And then how their life starts to reflect those new beliefs, where they are not abused anymore, where they're getting into the right relationship, or whether it's business or whether it's personal, or finding that money does show up, or they get appreciated and loved and approved for whatever they do, and at times even getting prizes, or doubling their income. That's what excites me the most, and that is usually in the 3 to 6 months mark. with we're working with the human mind. So I always say that usually the work I do is reflected within 6 to 12 months, because obviously emotions change, patterns of thinking change, and that needs to translate into behavior. Obviously, I'll do my best to make that happen, but it is a process. So I believe if one is able to, and that was me too, if one is able to give this 1 or 2 years, definitely change has to happen. If you spending time with a coach or a therapist, call it anything you want, and it's not working, please move on. don't don't waste more money, because I believe if you are working with someone who can help you, then you should get smaller or bigger breakthroughs, new awareness at every session.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And if you're not, it's not working for you. Better try something new. Yes. So, whenever you sit down with someone for a session, are there any, what, tell us a little bit more about your process that goes on. Are you just kind of talking through like you do in therapy? Is there other techniques that you use, or?
I have a very personal conversation, that there is no tricks to this. My main approach is NLP. I believe NLP is a wonderful tool to access why and how sabotaging their success actually works for them for now, why they are creating the less than optimal results or the lack of results, because I believe that their mind is trying to serve them, especially
Mhm.
serve them to fulfill some kind of a need, to either feel safe or feel loved or appreciated, or still be connected to mom or dad, or have power, or or any of the combinations of these needs, and their mind doesn't care about success or getting a business running, and unfortunately that's the big aha moment most of the time, that they realize that, oh, I was actually just having, let's say, a, a mind that has not been serving me. So there was a, let's say, installed software on a computer that was creating constant repeating lack of results. And what we want to know, and what we want to, I believe, find out, and I think they love to realize that, oh, they were actually doing their best, and their mind was doing their best for them. Yet obviously there is these two agendas, where I tend to find that, people have their goals around business or entrepreneurship, but there is this unconscious agenda, and at times that the direction is 180 degrees, and they're wondering how come they are not making progress, so they are not getting results. Obviously, what my job is to create alignment, to align their internal resources um, to behavior and how they are showing up in everyday situations or in their business, and then voila, change tends to happen. And sometimes I have to give a few strategies in in our work together about how to sell, or how to create boundaries in certain situations when they feel uh, repressed or not seen or heard. So there's a bit of strategy work as well.
Yes, absolutely. But I've experienced that before where you just feel like, I remember at one point actually just feeling like there was a hand shoving me back down, like literally on my back. And I'm like, there is real force happening right here. Like something is really happening. And whenever you get that out of the way, though, then finally your eyes are open and you can see the strategy and you can use the strategy, and the strategy is actually going to work. Whereas I think a lot of times we lead with the strategy and say, okay, as long as you have the strategy, then you're going to be able to do this and everything will be fine and you're going to make it. When the reality is there's these subconscious invisible things that we can't see going on that are really holding you back. So tell us a little bit more about how can, now that we know you and we know what you do and we know the amazing results that you have, tell us a little bit more about your guarantee, and then how can people connect with you?
The easiest way to connect with me is drofselfworth.com, DOCTOR, where you can find free resources, and there's a newsletter that you can sign up for free. But the guarantee is, look, if I pick the wrong client, like I believe this industry needs new standards. And I believe it's our responsibility, or should be, to say, look, if I pick the wrong client who is not ready for transformation, then try not to save them, or at least confront them. I hate to say confront. Let's say carefront them with love, to say, look, it doesn't sound like you're ready. It doesn't sound like you are committed to the change that we are about to make. And the best way for me to serve you is to create a 10 out of 10 commitment, so that you will follow through this, because I'm respecting your time and money, but also mine, because I have a reputation to get results. And if I pick a wrong client, then I want to take responsibility for it. And maybe as well, I'm fairly flexible. So with a few people who had addictions, which is, as gambling and alcohol and drugs, not necessarily my core offer, I was in contact with them daily. So they don't have time to sleep left or right with the multiple addictions that they had. So I don't have a one set way to help people. I rather have a very flexible approach, and I'm aiming for certain results, and I'll participate in their transformation with as much as I can, because I really care about people who give their time, money, and focus to my processes. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, no, I think that was great, because it's something that we don't always hear in the coaching space. It's just like, oh, well, some people are going to get results, some people aren't. Too bad. It's fine. Just take everybody's money. I think I do hear that a lot. And I think it is refreshing to say, hey, I care about people. And if I need to shift things around in order to help you get results, I'm going to do that, because you're more important to me than the bottom line number. And I think that builds a lot of that builds people's confidence as well, to know that, hey, this is gonna work out for me. I remember whenever I helped people with addiction. I was a health coach before this, and I helped people stop overeating. And I had a this is the program price. You can be in here till you're fixed. Basically, we're just stay here until it's solved. I don't care how long it takes you. We're just going to keep at it until it works. Because especially in issues like this, they've tried so many times before. People have given up on them. They're like, oh, that's too bad. It's too hard. And so I think knowing that, hey, I know you're going to solve this. I don't know how long it's going to take you or what it's going to maybe entail from my end, but I know you're going to solve this, so I'm here with you until you solve it. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the only way for them to not go through the process if they don't show up at this session, and if they are in an okay geographical distance, I will knock on their doors because I really want to help. But if they disengage, then obviously I can send them messages. It hasn't happened many times, but then obviously I need to respect that. Then their self-sabotage has got hold of them, and that's their thing. But as you said, I don't give up. I do the work as long as I need to, and I have 100 tools, and I will keep going back to high level commitment and techniques to change beliefs and emotions and create new associations toward what they want. And it always works.
Yeah, it works if you work it. Works if you work it. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else that you want to leave our audience with?
Maybe I would want to, if you're listening to us and you've been struggling like years and doing your best and buying programs and reading books and meditating and doing your affirmations, I say simplify it. Look for someone, please, who has transformed from the challenges that you're having now. Make it really simple. But that person should be one who has been able to help others to make the same transformation. And please commit to their process. And if you can, get some guarantees. Obviously, do your research, look at their reviews, but then you're really serving yourself, because I say when you tell yourself you are working on this and you're reading books and you're not applying those books, I say that is a form of self-sabotage. And I have no problem with books, but do what works.
Right. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for coming. And I dropped your link here in the description and right here as well for a free resource that you offer. But also everyone can go to drofselfworth.com to check out more from Endre. And we just appreciate you so much. Thank you for your work. And I'm looking forward to seeing where everybody goes with this.
Thanks very much. You've been a great host, and I'm looking forward to have you on my stage because you are a hero. Thank you, Michele.